Harry and Walter are from Swing Mason, and they've got some fantastic training aids that we're going to see a little bit of application for. It's going to be fun product knowledge session. Have any questions, just unmute and hit spacebar and ask the guys, okay? And then we're going to follow up with Bob shortly after.
Okay. So may I start sharing the screen?
Yes, Harik, I just want to check, do you hear me well or not? Because I don't hear you well.
You're not hearing me? Well, I can hear really well.
Yeah, we can all hear both as well.
Walter, you may want to turn up your sound.
Okay, now the noises disappear, but I just want to make sure if you hear me, please let me know.
I'm good.
Okay.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna start presentation, guys. So I'm gonna share my screen.
Hey, Mark, have you got everybody muted?
No, but if I can't mute everybody now because I'm not the host.
Oh,
Everybody mute themselves.
Everybody make sure you mute yourselves. No dogs barking, please.
Walter?
Yes, sorry guys, I completely don't hear. I'm changing my position. Maybe I can hear you better. But as long as you hear me, I think we can proceed. If you don't hear me or don't understand or my accent throws you off, let me know. Let me know somehow, okay? Anyway, we would like to present several training tools that we develop and design and manufacture with Harry. Let's start from golf protractor. This is a short video where we're getting a lot of questions from people how to assemble this protractor. So we made this a very quick short video to demonstrate how portable, small, and how quickly you can assemble this protractor. Can you play a video, please?
Yes, I do.
The protractor comes with two short stabilizers rods, which can be used for drills and also as a stabilizers. And it's very important to notice here that when you assembling the protractor, the extension small rod always going toward the same direction where the big rod is inclined, right? If the rod would be to the right, we would have to add another extension from other side to keep a balance. So that's how it's done, very quickly, very portable, and it comes with the bag and very quickly to assemble. Now, the most common questions for us that we are coming already from our experience, this is very multiple, multi-applicable training tool. It can be like, with our experience, any application with this tool. But the most common, it's of course working on your swing plane. And we divided this this training process for beginner, intermediate, and advanced player, because depending on the goals that you want to achieve with the plane, we would suggest to place the protractor in a certain position with respect to the target line. So for beginner, for example, if you noticed, it's put outside the target line, which encouraging the player to take a very low takeaway without involving wrist, just turning his shoulder nice and low to the back. And the distance, another question that very often comes, how far? And how far it's when you're taking your club back, if you can see on the right second picture where Harry taking his takeaway back, he was forced to take it low and back. And at this position, we wanna have this rod going right above the club face. This will force somebody who just learning the basics to take the club just low, back, up, and come back from the same inside by keeping the same position. If Harry, maybe you can play this video on the left and show how it works. If you
want to again?
So Harry basically demonstrates here that you have to take inside and bringing from inside. If your first move from the top, it's going to be over the top, you have no chance to be under this rod. You will either hit the rod from the top or you're going to go above the rod.
Okay.
Okay, that's after that we can move forward when the player already comfortable to take the club takeaway. Prevent from this beginners usually take club right straight up without turning shoulder, right? This move will encourage them to take one piece, turn their shoulder, take the takeaway low and slow, turn back. When the player already gets more comfortable with that, we'll get to next step, placing our protractor right on the target line, on the level of the ball and target line. And at this point, the player already familiar with the takeaway, but still doesn't have consistency. And sometimes it promotes the first drill can promote too much inside club. So, but I wouldn't worry about it at the beginning stage, because it's more important to see that they're keeping their hips back and they're taking club inside and bringing from inside. As I said, now the next step would be intermediate, where they would take club outside the rod and making a small loop during transition, bringing from inside. And as we can see here in the picture one, that's the distance that we recommend to install the protractor on the length club. It's very easy to make. When you make a SATA setup to the bolt, you cock your wrist and you turn your club parallel to the target line and parallel to the ground. That's the distance would be very appropriate. A couple pictures, you can see that the picture on the on the up, it shows Harry taking a takeaway outside the rod, and the second picture underneath shows his already downswing that he's bringing under the rod. This drill definitely let the golfer feel how to turn shoulder properly, how to take a backswing, and after that, when he make a transition, how to bring club down instead of coming over the top, how to bring his hands down and come from inside. And maybe Harry, you can play a quick video here. And that's what we want to achieve. As soon as from the top, the golfer will turn his shoulder or push his pelvic toward the ball, he's not going to be able to do that. But at the same time, we are setting him on a better position than drill for beginning, because now he is more freely comfortable to make a backswing, and he feel already the momentum when to cock his wrist. Like as soon as at the club taking back, we call it position 1 on the high on the picture on the right. That's the time to cock wrist and take a backswing, which bring us to the next level already when the golfer make a solid contacts and trying already to work the shots, and you know it's already flirting with a single-digit handicap, I would say here. We call it this advanced stage for practicing, and we would put protractor on the same distance at the back on the length club, right? The same cocking wrist at the setup, turning club parallel to the ground, and that determines the distance. But installing protractor some inside the target line, somewhere between ball and the feet. And to start with, it's better to put protractor closer to the feet to get this process going. But the better you get, the more you want to stay on the plane, you're going to be able to move this protractor closer to the ball. Eventually, a good golfers who has already developed a very solid swing, they could be able to hit ball having this protractor literally 3-4 inches away inside the ball. As he has a beginning stage for advanced level, Harry showing the opposite side of it. That's as a starting point. And we want to move this protractor closer and closer to the target line, closer to the ball. And if Harry will make a quick video on this one too, he will show how it basically is a drill preventing golfer from stuck position, from pushing the ball and snap hooks. Like advanced golfers, like on the tour, professional players, this is their favorite drill with a protractor, and most of them, starting from Tommy Fleetwood, Rory McIlroy, they're all working with this position and this situation. So, and Harry, this also showing our tool, which is called a golf guide, that when you already reach a stage at the level when you're making contact and you keep the plane pretty stable, it's time for you to work the ball. So a lot of question comes: how to work the ball, how to keep trajectory, how to hit high trajectory, medium trajectory, high, how to hit fade or draw, right? All those 9 shots, it's a basic shot for advanced golfer.
Walter, we missed
So
this.
in this situation, we would apply a golf guide that you can see on the video on the left, right? For trajectories and work the ball. But it's also, I want to mention for you that controlling trajectories of the ball, it's very useful to use protractor up front of your stance. As you see on the first picture where marked with the green correct marker, that's when the Harry make a follows through, and he keeps his hip rotating. Compared to the picture on the right, where you can notice he just stood up. His hips rotated less, he stood up more. And if you notice the gap between his left hip, between his tushy and the simulator on the right. On the left picture is much smaller than on the right. And that's basically the biggest problem with the advanced players when they're making mistakes, that they're putting themselves in a stuck position. As soon as your hip, as it's shown on the picture on the right, go forward, and your release gonna be outside the target line, you have no way to save this ball unless to compensate with the wrist and hope that you pull it a draw, or most likely it's gonna be a snap hook, or you just push a ball to the right. In order to prevent this, depending on the trajectory, you can change the plane of a protractor up front. If your finish is, for example, follow trajectory under your armpit, this rod can be put even several degrees lower than it's put it right here for regular shot. For regular shot, we would say we would want to put the same degree, the same angle that you're putting on the backswing. For example, if you're using 7-iron and it just happens that your 7-iron has 63 degrees, you're using on the back drill, the same 63 degree in front would work perfect for 7-iron. If it's a driver, it can be as low as 55, or maybe some guys who is shorter can use even 54 degree. But it also encouraging the finish of your swing. Either way, it doesn't matter. Is it going to be short, low sharp, medium, or high? It's encouraging you to keep your pelvic and the same distance from the ball. As soon as you make this mistake, it will punish you. You're not going to be able to do that. Harry, if you can play this clip, please. If you notice, like right now, he's set up in the video, when he setups and his gap of his hip on the backswing and follow through, you see between the end of the simulator and his tushy, the small gap. And that's a good visual effect to understand that when he's taking club back and after that follow through, just keep an eye on this gap. His right or left hip, his right hip moving, start rotating, but his left hip comes to the same position where his was right hip. And that's what allows him to go this and keeping his shoulder at the same plane. Because as we know, shoulder plane, it's a part of the whole swing plane. if you flat, that's also detrimental to keep the swing plane. Yeah, which brought us to quickly to our second training tool, which we call it setup guide, that we recommend to use with our protractor. And to begin with, Harry, maybe you can play this clip that everybody understands what's how it's assembled and how it looks. So you quickly, on two different levels, you're sliding two rods, you're putting on the ground, and you have your working station. This working station can be tightened up at any degree you wish, and it's also very multi-applicable tool. But let's say for the for the purpose of combining this with the protractor, we will go back talking about different shots, which we call it must shots, right? Setup guide, first of all, in the middle picture, you see that it's very simple, how it's helpful to make a correct setup. You basically have the setup station where you see where the ball is, your hands slightly or above the ball, and everything. Now, as soon as we want to apply shot according to our shot, it's from my experience, giving thousands of lessons, the most common question of golfers: how can I produce this shot or that shot? So here by using setup guide, we just making it stands open or closed several degrees, depending on the golfer and depending his flexibility and also club. For example, on the picture on the left, we see the Harry put the station. He has 5-degree closed stance, which is, we would say he is setting up to the right of the target line, but the club of the face is perpendicular to the target. So his club face is facing straight his target, but his body, including feet, hips, and shoulder, are all set up to the right of the body. All he have to do now, just swing along his body, and the ball will start traveling right of the target and, passing 70, 80 yards or whatever, depends on the club. Slowly he will bring the ball back to the target line. That's how we produce draw. Do we have some other slides, Harry, with setup guide?
Oh, we have development.
I just wanted to show to mention also that setup guide allow any golfer is it on a range or on a golf course, to have a training station which allows him to understand how he set up his club face with respect to the target, and how he set up his body, hips, shoulder, and feet also to respect to the target. If they are set to the right to the left of the target, but club face straight at the target. If the whole body, feet and shoulders set to the right of the target, but club face facing the target, it will produce a draw. And the same with the positioning of the ball, and the width of the stance will determine trajectory and of course finish, which we talked already previously about follow through plane and where you finish, where you're finishing your swing. This also setups and feeling where you're aiming your body with respect to the target line and where you're aiming your club face is very well combined with the next our training tool that's called belt mount. Harry, maybe you can show our belt mount. And just please play the video. It just literally takes a second to slide it, to slide on your pants or on your belt, slide the rod in and tighten with a knot, and you're ready to practice. So now when you're setting to the guide setup station, you would have very nice visual feedback and understanding how your hips set up with respect to your feet, to your shoulder, to the target line. But in this pictures and video, Harry wants us to show separate application of belt mount on its own. And basically, if you play the video, Harry, maybe first, and we'll talk about it. Again, I want to mention that the most common mistake golfers already with experience, it's a stuck position when they're trying to stand up during the golf contact and pushing their pelvic toward the ball. And that stuck position causing all troubles. So in order to prevent this, you have to pull your hands in the slot, and if you're doing it correctly, your hand's going to be in front of the rod. As we see on the pictures on the picture separately, which marked with the green color, that's the positions that we want to be on the downswing. That you're pulling your hands down, and after that, everything continue to rotate as it done. Also, it's a very nice visual effect for a setup, as you see in the middle video, that picture, a hairy setup, that it gives you visual effect that his left hip a little bit higher than the right. Obviously, he made the setup with a longer iron. Same, for example, if you're working on a short iron, you don't want to have that setup of the hips. You want your the hips be parallel to the ground. So you're going to have immediate visual feedback from your student. What's happening to his hip? Is it the correct setup? Yes, this is good setup for long iron, right? If you want to keep regular trajectory. But let's say he want to hit a low trajectory, which probably would tell you right away that this is not a correct setup of posture for a low trajectory shot. He wants to have hips on the same level, and you would see this rod parallel to the ground, which would promote more center balance even with more even weight on the left than on the right foot. But this obviously has a little bit split toe. And Harry, we have more slides down there. Also, we want to mention that we can use a belt mount with elastic belt that you can put on your chest and keep your rod on the front or on the back of your body. Keeping on the back, it's totally free your hands, but you still have visual effect when you're working with the students, and student itself has visual feedback how his shoulder turns and what his X factor, because he can have one rod on his hip and another on the chest or on the back, and he will understand his X factor. By X factor, I mean the degree of rotation between hips and shoulder, right? When you're talking about that, oh, he turned shoulder 90 degree. Yeah, but one person turned shoulder 90 degree and turned his hips 15 degree and has X factor 75 degree, which is very powerful compared to somebody who turned his hips 70 degree or 50 degree and has only 40 degree in shoulders, but visually we would see his shoulder 90 degree. But in reality, his X factor is only 40 degree, which is very weak, which is not going to produce much power. So by using this belt on the upper body, it's very easy and visual feedback for player and coach to see what's happening. And these drills, for example, Harry, if you play this drill, like for some reason, Harry using rod in his hands instead of belt mount, but it's the same effect. If you play video on the left, Harry. It's a good visual effect to combine with the protractor to work on your shoulder plane, because most golfers, when amateur golfers, when they turn their shoulders, they are losing plane. They plane of their shoulders. Instead of, as soon as they start backswing, instead of rotating their shoulders, that left shoulder going down and right shoulder going up, their shoulder all of a sudden leveling. And if you have a rod, on the upper body, you will see that right away visual feedback will show you that his shoulder is flattening. So instead of turning shoulder, they're just going back. They're turning their back to the target line instead of bringing his shoulder, left shoulder down and his right shoulder up in the same plane. And video on the right, Harry, if you play this, please. On the right, Harry.
It's probably delayed.
And he a little bit exaggerating, but another very important point to practice with beginner without a club. That when he made the setup and his sternum right against his sternum is right against the protractor, right? Now he's turning his shoulder 90 degrees to the back. And now when he is clearing and making follow through, if you notice, his right hip clearing the place where his sternum was. And just finish at the end. Can you pause, Harry? Can you pause that video at the end?
Just a second.
When you go follow through. So for a coach, it's very important to understand and see this point that when he is finishing, keeping his shoulder on plane, rotating his shoulder, Can you pause it when you finish, Harry?
I did.
And pause it. So now we see that the protractor was representing where Harry's sternum was. But now, since he transferred his weight, he has to clear at least his right hip where the sternum is. Most golfers that produce good power, they would clear that even with their tushy. You wouldn't see that line on the butt. His butt would clear this protractor rod, which represent where his sternum was. At the same time, when he clears, he still keeps the plane of the shoulders, if you notice. So at this point, he is free to get out from this posture. Only at this point, when his hips already clear the place where his sternum was, that's where the ball was. At this place, he can already stand up and finish the swing. So this is, in our opinion, is great visual kind of device that gives you visual feedback and visual understanding for both, as for the coach and for the student. How are we running with the time, Harry?
I don't know, like Mark, how far we are?
A couple more minutes. How much have you got left to do?
Well, just one.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, and here's also for beginners very useful pre-club drills using golf protractor and a setup guide. It's the same. It allows, if you put a guide in a protractor, and since guide also rotates, you can put this perpendicular to the ground rod, either to control your thigh, or you can put on a hip, or you can put on a knee a little bit lower. It gives you a lot of adjustability depending on what you work. The same way you can put it behind that will touch your buttocks at the back, and have a student rotate. Can you play medium in the middle? Yes, please. And a golfer can practice rotation of backswing and front swing without keeping touch, and keep a touch of his buttocks to this rod at the back all the time. And on the video on the right, it's also for beginners before they start, working more with the club. It's a rod on the front, which already predetermine how far, for example, if it's 3 inches or 2 inches in front of the left hip, and when they rotate and continue clearing hip, they should get to that position, or just right in front of that. If they are going to have too much sliding, they will hit it with the left hand, with the left hip too early. If they don't have slide, if they don't have a bump forward, they will end up on the right foot, and they're going to be too far. So we want those 3 inches movement forward to develop at the beginning with their legs, before they work with with the whole swing, with the club and everything, that they would understand that left hip moving forward and rotates. It doesn't stay like in the barrel or something, like many times we probably heard that other coaches saying. So that device visually also help us to understand that the left hip has a little bit movement forward and continuous rotation that bring us to the front. And It was very quickly and shortly, to run through several of them just to give you an idea what we're working on, how important fundamental is, and even pre-club drills before we swinging the club and everything. But each training tool, and we can hopefully we're gonna have a chance to talk about it with you guys next time. But right now, if you have any question, please, I'm more than glad to answer it.
So I'm going to stop sharing. I see some questions here. So
it's shipped from Canada.
Okay, yeah. So it's made from plastic, and well, if you hit with the club on a protractor, yeah, it probably is going to break. But there's no application where you hit the protractor with the close by. So protractor is always away from you, so you're not getting closer to the protractor. You can hit the rod, but what happened if you hit the rod, the protractor is going to flip. It's not going to fly away. I have this kind of question on a golf show. People are asking what happened if somebody will hit the rod that's standing in a protractor. So I showed. So basically, what happened it's flipped, and that's what happened. That's it.
Well, I'm just going to add my 2 cents and then turn it over to Bob. But anybody that's it's shipped. Bob Mechanic. It ships out of Ontario, so they have a place in Ontario that they're shipping from. Anyways, anybody that teaches inside, these things are fantastic for reference points. Like, how you'd use them and how you teach would be up to your philosophies. But I think the having the ability to set up inside is just phenomenal. Anybody teaching there, I know I saw Dave Tannehill on the weekend. He just purchased through their website with the CGTF discount, which we get 40% off. It's a fantastic product, and both or all 3 items featured are pretty exciting. So if you have any questions, we'll get them to Harry and Walter. And Harry and Walter, thanks so much for coming on tonight.